Hello class, my name is Valerie Reed, and today I'll be doing my speech on police brutality in America. By the end of my speech, I would like for everyone to have a better understanding of why African Americans and minorities feel that we are treated unfairly and racially profiled. I'm not giving a speech for you to agree with everything that I'm stating. The purpose of my speech is to make my audience aware and prepared to have a better understanding that there has to be a change in police brutality and excessive force. Police brutality is an ongoing issue in the United States. This controversy caused a lot of tension between the American citizens. Is it fair for to use such excessive force on citizens to the point where we are severely injured or killed? Police officers should be held accountable for using excessive force, demonstrating prejudice, racial profiling, and discrimination. Don't take my life. Don't take my life. Stop killing us. All throughout history, abuse by the law enforcement has become a very serious issue. Today, I'll discuss some statistics on memorable cases and hopefully some preventions. Studies shown by Cleveland Department of Justice states that street cops are left on their own, excessive force is covered up, and police do not know how to de-escalate situations. Studies has also found that cops who often use unnecessary force receive little or no guidance from their peers or superiors. In some cases, the superiors enforce the mistreatment. Also, excessive force stems from structural deficiencies, neglectful reviews, and poorly done investigations. Officers are choosing to use weapons versus de escalating situations. By firing weapons, they risk the chance of hurting innocent bystanders. Most force incidents are not properly reported, documented, or investigated, or addressed for that matter. Most investigations are often justify the officer's actions or dismissed and even deemed unfounded. Some officers sometimes violate our Fourth Amendment right by subjecting us to search and seizures, full searches, stop and frisk, because it's just the way we look. This speech is important to me because I have a 13-year-old son who I tell every day to respect adults, follow directions, respect authoritative figures. I've also had to talk with my son too, if he ever encountered a police officer, to do as he asked, to keep his hands in the air, to not raise his voice. Studies have shown and times have shown us that even doing what they ask, someone is injured or someone may be killed. So what can we tell our family members? What can we tell our kids? Back in the 90s, Rodney King was beaten by several officers and pulled out his car. He sustained injuries and he was hit over 50 times with batons, he was sprayed with mace, etc. The surgeons operated on Rodney King for over 3 hours. The officers were indicted on charges of assault with a deadly weapon and excessive use of force by police. However, 3 months later, again, the charges were dismissed. No one was indicted. The videotape of the acquittal provoked a massive riot in California. More than 50 people were killed, 9,500 were arrested, over 2,000 were injured, and it cost the state of California over $1 billion. This is a picture of Rodney King, and this is also a picture of some point in the riot. Let's move on. Eric Gardner died back in the summer of 2014. He was approached by cops on the suspicion of him selling what they call loose cigarettes. He was approached by Officer Daniel Patalo, and he was put on the ground in a severe neck chokehold. While on the ground, Eric Gardner kept screaming, "I can't breathe." If you recall the media information or the news, and also some stores made shirts, "I can't breathe." Eric Gardner repeatedly told the officers he couldn't breathe. When the ambulance arrived, they assumed that Eric Gardner was breathing. 1 hour later, Eric Gardner died. December 2014, all officers involved, their charges were dropped. No one was charged. They all went home again on a paid administrative leave. He was killed by an illegal chokehold that is no longer used by New York PD. This is a picture of a visual of Eric Gardner. This is Eric Gardner on the ground. Moving forward, Sandra Bland was a 28-year-old young lady. She was initially pulled over last summer for a minor traffic violation. Sandra Bland provided the police officer with her driver's license and registration. While waiting for him to return to her car, she decided to smoke a cigarette. When the officer walked back up to the car, he asked Sandra Bland to put out her cigarette. When she refused and asked why, he snatched her out of her car. Him and his partner began to assault her, beat her, and she sustained severe injuries. Sandra Bland was taken to the Waller County Police Department. She was in jail for 3 days and she died. They stated she hung herself. No one really knows what happened. This is a picture of Sandra Bland. This is protesters wanting to know and demanding what happened to Sandra Bland. Again, the officers were never indicted. They again was put on paid administrative leave. Alton Sterling, father of five, was assaulted by two police officers in Baton Rouge. Officer Lake II had been a police officer for 3 years, and Officer Bland for 4 years. They both had incidents where they were put on administrative leave for having an incident with a minority. According to several videos I've watched, Alton Sterling was pinned down by both officers. He did have a gun on him. However, the gun was in his pocket. It was not visible to anyone. If you look at this picture, you will see that they already had him sustained. The police was called because they stated someone was selling illegal cigarettes or an incident had happened in front of a store. This is another picture of Alton Sterling. Alton, once when the police officer had Alton Sterling on the ground, he felt the gun in his pocket, and the police officer yelled, "Gun." The second police officer shot Alton Sterling 3 times. A few seconds later, he got shot 3 more times. Alton Sterling died right there on the scene. There was never a visible gun. He never reached for a gun. They already had him on the ground. Two officers, one person. His death was not necessary. Lastly, this one really touched my heart. Philando Castile. I actually watched him die live on Facebook. This really bothers me. Philando Castile was pulled over what supposedly been a traffic violation, a tail light out or something like that. When they stopped, he advised the police officer, Officer Yanez, "I am licensed to carry a weapon. I have a weapon." Officer Yanez proceeded to still request his license and registration. However, when Philando Castile reached for the items he asked for. He was shot 4 times fatally in front of his daughter and in front of his girlfriend. He died live on Facebook. Again, another civilian doing what our officer said. His death was so unnecessary. I will never forget this incident. This is a picture of Philando Castile's mom, and this is a picture of Officer Yanez with his gun drawn out on Philando Castile. Officer Yanez, again, was put on administrative leave. Some officers may think that they are protecting their own lives from danger, and this is what gives them the right to use excessive force. However, it cannot be the case in all accounts. There has to be some new course of action, new training, community policing, police involvement, society and cultural awareness. The list can go on. I wish I had an answer to solve this problem. I understand that my speech was mostly focused on African Americans and minorities. However, there are some white Americans that are also treated unfairly as well. I just want to say that I feel like if there was accountability for the police actions, that we actually were told the truth, that someone spoke the truth saying you were wrong, that more supervisors and management got involved in training, that we could end this problem. I also believe, and this is just my opinion, that I don't feel like anyone coming out of high school or very young should become a police officer. I think there should be some psychological things that's involved, some maturity that's involved, and I think you should be able to police your own neighborhood so you can understand the people that are around you. Once again, this is a conclusion to my speech on police brutality in America. Have a great day.